Yo, welcome to my channel. My name's JD and I'm an artist from Bristol in the UK. And in today's video, we are back at Waverley House. No, sorry, it's called Waverley Gardens, that's the one. We are back at Waverley Gardens in Bristol to do the second mural. If you missed the last video, I will put the link up here from the first mural. But we are back today to start the second mural. And this one is actually a recreation of a piece I done about 4 or 5 years ago. So this one I'm pretty excited for. It's very different to the first one. There's not really much else to say, so let's just crack on and get in there. Oh, damage replay. So this is today's wall, this one behind me. Now it's pretty much square, it's 2 meters by 2 meters. And today I'm going to be doing a bit of a grid and some pencil sketching just to get everything in place, ready for tomorrow, slapping on some paint. So let's get to it. The reason for the grid is just so I can get everything in proportion. And I did this by halving the artwork, and then each of those sections I halved again, and then each of those sections I halved again until I had my grid. And then I basically just sketch on what I see on the grid of the artwork just onto the wall. Oh, an idiot. So, starting from scratch again. Just looking at the artwork, seeing which square it falls into, whereabouts on the line it falls on, and just using that to get everything in place exactly where it needs to be. Very important that everything stays in proportion, and if anything's a little bit off, it may throw the artwork off for the rest of the piece, so just making sure I get everything exactly where it goes. Clifton Suspension Bridge is Bristol's most famous landmark. It was based on a design by Isambard Kingdom Brunel and Sarah Guppy. It was actually designed by William Henry Barlow and John Hackshaw. This bridge actually spans 412 metres long, and it connects Clifton to Lee Woods. Construction of the bridge began in 1831, but this was stopped by Bristol riots a few days into the project, and the building work resumed in 1836, 5 years later. Isambard Kingdom Brunel died in 1859 and he never got to see the completion of the bridge, but more than 4 million vehicles pass over this bridge every year, and 2 men were even killed in the construction of the bridge. So we finished the sketch yesterday. First thing I've done this morning is I've masked everything up, ready to slap some paint on. I've got my reference here from the old artwork, so I know what colours to use. I've only got a limited amount of colour, mostly primary colours, so there's a lot of mixing going on today. So hopefully this won't take too long mixing up all the colours. There's only one way to find out. Let's get on with it. The paint that I'm using is just emulsion paint. It's the same stuff that you decorate your house with. I just have a few different colours and I'm going to be mixing them all up, and that's how I'm going to be getting the colours that I need. And I need to get rid of those grid lines because you can see through the paint, and I don't want to be seeing those grid lines through the paint, so making sure I get rid of all of those. And then continuing just to give a big base layer of blue onto the sky. Now this is the blue that comes straight out of the pot, and this is just to give it a good base layer to start off with. And then I'll mix a little bit of dark colours with that, being like a red, a little bit of black, and that's how I've made the blue for the water. And then with that blue I'll just add some white, and that's how I'm using my highlights for the water. But it is hard to distinguish how much white and how much black you need. I suppose you just get it from experience. And this being my second mural I've ever done, not mixing paint up too often, it's just a bit of lack of experience. I'm using a technique where I'm separating the bristles out on the brush a little bit by pushing it down, not having too much paint on it, and just giving it a bit of a motion, just scraping past the wall just to leave a few marks rather than leaving a solid bit of paint. I'm just using this technique to try and get the water effect. And just laying down a base layer of green for all the bushes, and I'll go through and lay all the green down everywhere it goes, and this is again just going to be my base layer.
That's looking good, love.
Yeah, you're not about to say you're going home, are you?
Well, it's 4 o'clock.
Is it? Oh god.
Yeah.
I'll have a cup of tea then if you're making one.
Cup of tea, yeah, 2 sugars.
Yeah. I have to use a smaller brush to get in those smaller areas. So we're back again, it's another day today, and I'm going to start off by doing the sky. I want to get the gradient of the sun setting, so I'm going to start off with the blue, and I'm just going to keep adding white as I go down towards the sun, and that's how I'm going to start off this morning. Let's see how far we get. And this is one of the disadvantages to using the emulsion paint. It was extremely hard to blend and mix the two colours together, so I'm just using a little bit of white each time, just getting it lighter and pushing it into the previous colour and doing the best I could. And right now just adding some darker tones into the water, trying to give it more depth. And using that grey colour, I just fill everywhere that has the similar grey. Again, the more shades I add, the more depth it'll add to the artwork. Now I'll just add a little bit more depth into the trees, add in the shadows. So now I have 2 shades in with the trees, and I will add more as time goes on. Using the same technique with the brush sort of fanned out, with not much paint on it. This is how I'll get the sort of grass and textures for the trees, and trying to simulate the leaves. Going in with a highlight, another tone, and as you see now I'm going in with another tone again. I find the more tones you add, the more realistic the piece will look. Where the sun's hitting some of this grass is quite yellowy, So I'm just adding a little bit of that to some of the trees as well, where the sun would be reflecting off of it. I'm adding more layers of colour to try and get more depth in this mud, using the paintbrush to try and simulate the mud textures. Again to try and simulate the texture of the rock. Using that same technique with a brush with a tiny little dab of paint on it to try and simulate that grass texture. Of course, it wouldn't be Bristol without having some balloons flying around in the sky. Oh yeah, it's my favourite bit. So I use the outline mostly to get all of the detail into the piece. Now that pen wasn't working very well, so I switched to the Posca pen, and that seemed to work a little bit better for my outlines. I'm adding the outlines to defy the edges of things, and this is what really makes the piece stand out and makes everything have a lot of contrast and gives it even more depth. I find this the details that really finish off the piece. Annoyingly, my pen ran out again, same as the last mural, so I've had to rush to Hobbycraft. Been and got myself another one. So, crack this bad boy open and let's get on with the piece. Six days later, yep, you heard me right, this piece took me 6 days. But 6 days later, we are finished. And I am so happy with how it came out. Everybody in the home absolutely loves it. It'd be wicked if you guys let me know what you think in the comments too. But I am super happy with this piece. So many details, totally worth it. If you guys enjoyed this video, it'd be sick if you smash that thumbs up button, give it a like, and if you're not already, it'd be wicked if you could subscribe too. And also, if you tick that little bell notification icon, you'll be the first person to know when my next video drops. So, there's nothing else to say, but here's the piece. Check it out.